This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Good evening, friends, and welcome back to Paranormal StakeOut. I'm your host, Larry Lawson, coming to you from the mothership of paranormal programming, the X-Zone Broadcast Network. And as always, it's my job, my duty, to bring to you, my listeners, guests and commentary that are going to challenge your views of the paranormal. Now, most of you know that my area of interest are ghosts, the spiritual side of the paranormal, if you will. But you also know that my definition of paranormal includes cryptozoology, UFOs, and anything that cannot be explained in our modern society today. And that's why I'm so excited about our guest tonight, Mr. Rob Robinson, legend tripper. Rob was supposed to be with us a few weeks ago, but then he got himself injured in the paranormal line of duty. And we're really, really happy that he's on the mend and joining us tonight. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Rob. He was born at Hamilton Air Force Base in California and grew up an Army brat, had the privilege of visiting numerous countries and cultures as a youngster. After graduating high school in Lansing, Kansas, he enlisted in the United States Army in 1982 and served over 21 years as an airborne military policeman. Sergeant First Class Robinson served in numerous countries to include Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. When he retired in 2003 and relocated to Florida, he went to teach junior ROTC at Summerlin Academy in Bartow, Florida. Rob has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Everest University and is a certified PADI wreck diver. Rob first became interested in the unexplained after watching the television series In Search Of and the movie The Legend of Boggy Creek. His mother, who's from Scotland, would tell him stories about the Loch Ness Monster, which furthered his interest in cryptozoology and the unexplained. As a kid, Rob started researching cryptozoology by reading every book he could about the unexplained. Upon his retirement from the military in 2003, Rob moved to Florida and participated in numerous skunk ape expeditions with the Bigfoot Field Search Organization, BFRO. Rob accompanies his wife, Tracy, who is a paranormal investigator on ghost hunts, as her technical support. Rob is also an investigator with the Mutual UFO Organization, or MUFON. But not wanting to be labeled as a certain type of investigator, Rob refers to himself as a legend tripper and conducts at least one monster and ghost hunt a month. Rob has also appeared on the PBS special Weird Florida, On the Road Again, Animal Planet's Monsters and Mysteries in America. Rob just completed his first book, Legend Tripping, The Ultimate Adventure, which is a detailed guidebook on how to go on a real adventure and look for Bigfoot, other cryptoids, ghosts, UFOs, lost treasures, and other mysterious places. This book was just published by Adventure Unlimited Press. I would like to tell you his website is legendtrippers.blogspot.com / or you can even email him at rob008@hotmail.com. First of all, Rob, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Larry.
And second of all, thank you, sir, for your service to our country. It's greatly appreciated. Your service is greatly appreciated. Third of all, how you feeling, man?
Oh, like I said, I'm getting better. Like I said, I had to take a little bit of a leave a little while ago, but actually it's starting to kick in now, and I'm feeling pretty good. I'm sitting there in my man cave with my cat, and kind of looking at all my Bigfoot posters and all that stuff I have in my man cave here.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I've made a command decision here at the Paranormal StakeOut, and I have elected to award you the very first Paranormal StakeOut Purple Heart for injuries in the line of paranormal duty. So I'm glad you are back on the mend, my friend. Briefly, what's legend tripping? My audience would love to know what this is.
Legend tripping, I guess, in a nutshell, is to go on an investigation or a trip to look for a legend. And it's like you said earlier, a legend can be anything from a cryptid, which is Bigfoot or lake monsters or the Jersey Devil, or alien type creatures like the Lizard Man and the Dover Demon, or it could be a paranormal investigation, which every state in the U.S. has some place that has a paranormal haunted houses and stuff. UFOs. I like to tell people when it comes to UFOs, it's really kind of hard to go see a location where one has been, because usually you don't see it again. But there are areas around the United States where these UFOs have landed and stuff. So I like to like Roswell and Kirksburg up in Pennsylvania, and also there's buried treasure. In fact, there's still numerous places around the United States where there is legends of millions and millions of dollars worth of gold still out there. And one of the famous ones, of course, actually isn't in the United States; it's in Canada. Is the Oak Island Money Pit?
Sure.
And then you got places that I just called where unexplained things happen, where you see ghost lights, or there's there's gravity hills. Numerous places around here where it's just for some reason the laws of physics and gravity that just don't work in these places, and cars roll uphill for some reason. They say it's an optical illusion, but some places they can't really explain it. But anyway, it's just to go do that.
What I got to do right now is we're about ready to take our first break, my friend. When we get back, we're going to talk more about legend tripping and some of the things that you have discovered. So, folks, we'll see you in just a couple of minutes.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere, Florida. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine such as hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining rooms can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you visit, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic downtown Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, Old Florida cuisine at its best.
If you're a seeker, don't miss the inspiring book Shamanic Awakening, Between the Dark and the Daylight. This remarkable work chronicles shamanic counselor and indigenously trained dream decoder Sandra Cochran's 35 years of experience with diverse wisdom keepers throughout the Americas. Sandy's initiations across the British Isles, Turkey, Greece, and Egypt, combined with her knowledge of symbology, psychology, and myth, influence her dream blog and workshops. Sandy offers private readings, sacred international journeys, a meditative CD, and her book, Shamanic Awakening, to encourage you as you navigate your earth walk and create a deeper connection to yourself. Find this and more at her website, starwalkervisions.com.
Welcome back to Paranormal Stakeout, everyone, with my guest tonight, Rob Robinson, legend tripper. Rob, you kind of explained a little bit to us about what legend tripping is. Tell us some of the places you've went and some of the exciting things that you've discovered or seen.
Well, let me see. I do a lot of Bigfoot hunting, especially this time of year.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about that too.
Paranormal-wise, we've been up to St. Augustine, which St. Augustine is probably one of the most paranormal active areas that I've ever been to. You know, the lighthouse, the Spanish fort, heck, even Ripley's, believe it or not, building there has got some paranormal activity going on in there. We went down to Coral Castle a little while ago and checked that area out, where a gentleman back in the I wish I'd done my homework a little bit better for tonight. I think it was the 20s that he built this castle entirely out of coral, and it's a museum. It's down in Homestead, and to this day they haven't quite figured out how he did it. There's been some rumors that he figured out how to make things pick things up with his mind, but again, that's just stories. Let's see. When I went with my wife up to Pennsylvania, we went up to Ringing Rock State Park, where this area where you can go. Actually, it's entirely free to go to it. Where you go into this park, and it's this huge, looks like a huge dried up riverbed. But some of the rocks, if you take a hammer and hit them, sounds like a bell. Really neat.
Okay, I've heard that. So your trips really cover the gambit.
I try to. In fact, I'm always looking to go try and explore some new areas.
Okay. Well, let's talk about Bigfoot for a second, because that's one topic I haven't had a chance to spend much time on the show, and it seems to be your favorite thing to do. Your area of expertise. How many Bigfoot expeditions do you think you've gone on?
Gosh, that's a good question. I've actively started doing it since 2003. So, gosh, that's a good question. I don't have a number. I mean, I go out as much as I can. During the summertime, I kind of limit it because of the heat. So I really don't get to go out and stay out there. I mean, I've been able to go out to a couple areas, and we just hit it up real early in the morning and walk the area looking for footprints or just looking to see if there's evidence that it's out there. And then when the sun comes up, we pretty much head back to the cars and, turn the AC on.
Well, is most of your Bigfoot work done in Florida?
Well, most of my positive stuff is. I've done some Bigfoot hunting up in Georgia, Alabama. I've been over to Fouke, Arkansas, where the movie The Legend of Boggy Creek was made. I've been out there. Texas. I've been up to North Carolina. I've checked out areas up there, and I did briefly up in Pennsylvania, but I really didn't get to hit Pennsylvania as I would have liked to. I haven't hit the West Coast, and I'm really looking to do that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to heal up a little bit more, my friend, before you do that.
Yeah, I got a couple more months before I'm allowed to go out and actually do anything.
Well, so tell me, have you ever had the opportunity to actually see a Bigfoot, or I guess as they call them down here in Florida, skunk apes. Have you ever had that opportunity?
Well, I've come in. I have seen a large figure on a FLIR. And I'm always careful how I say that, because am I 100% sure that it was a Bigfoot or a skunk ape? No. But there was something large standing out in this field this one night that we were out there. Mm-hmm. And we were the only ones out there. And this was private property. And what happened, we had broken into groups, and one group went one way, and we went another. And we came up, and we had a young lady with us, and we asked her to do a call blast scream. Mm-hmm. And right after she did it, somebody made a comment, "Hey, I hear something out in that field." Well, I had the FLIR, and I brought it up to my eyes and looked, and the first thing popped in my head was, "Oh God, we got a poacher out here," because it was standing, bipedal erect. In fact, it reminded me of the old TV show Star Trek when when Captain Kirk used to beam himself down, that silhouette that you would see of himself. Okay, that's kind of what it reminded me of. So I immediately handed the FLIR off to a friend of mine. I said, "Hey, I think there's somebody. There's somebody right out there." Mm-hmm. Well, when I passed it off, we heard something running out of the field, and we didn't see any lights or anything like that. We just heard something running. Well, we went out there, and we could see what it was where it was standing. So a buddy of mine, David Lauer, went and stood out there, and he's about 6 foot. And I went back to where I was standing and held up the FLIR, and I could see whatever it was a lot taller than David.
And how tall was David?
David's exactly 6 foot.
Okay. So
this thing was I'd say over 7 foot tall.
Okay. And moving pretty fast?
It took off really quick. And for a human to do that, well, number one, it had to have some kind of a light source. You can't just run through a palmetto field and not trip over, the big, huge palmetto bushes out there. Even with night visions on, you still wouldn't be able to run that fast. Yeah, so whatever it was, what's that?
No, it's in Florida. You're right. Yeah, people, a lot of folks don't know those palmetto bushes can be pretty much the way.
And then we had another on different time where we were setting up a camp, and 3 of us were kind of like the bait to see if we could bring whatever it was in there. This is on some property. This is up near Tallahassee, by the way, just to give you an idea of the location. Anyway, one of the friends I was with, Glenn, saw something poking its head up out of a dried creek bed. Well, we got up to walk over, and whatever it is took off running down the creek bed, and we had another team up on the hill to our left, and it kind of saw it, and it took off running after it. So anyway, what happened was it took off, and we thought it went up to these people's houses, and right next to their house they have a little cabin, and my wife was staying in that cabin. Well, she texts me and said, "Hey, are you guys outside the cabin?" And I typed in yes. I thought it was that team that had gone up there. Well, later, a few minutes later, the team came walking back and said, "Yeah, man, we lost it." I said, "Yeah, my wife heard you guys walking around the cabin." And he went, "We weren't up at the cabin. We went in a whole different direction." I said, "Well, my wife heard something walking around outside the cabin." So we, immediately all of us beat feet, ran up there real quick to check it out. But again, we didn't find any footprints or anything.
Okay.
And just recently, a couple months ago, actually September, we were up in the same place again. And what happened was we were staying at Torreya State Park, and we broke off into some teams, and 2 gentlemen went over to the cabin where my wife was staying. And they were going to wait. We were all going to meet up there. Well, anyway, these are 2 big, huge guys. They could be bouncers in a nightclub. That's how big these 2 are. Anyway, they were up there waiting, and one of the gentlemen owns a Land Rover. Mm-hmm. Anyway, something started moving the Land Rover and activated the car alarm. So those 2 left the cab. Well, they were sitting in front of the porch on the cabin, walked up to the Land Rover, and they heard something to their left growl and scream at them. Well, Josh brought the light up and he caught a shape as a big, huge shape of something as it turned around and it ran into the woods. Well, these 2 got in the vehicle and came right back over to Torreya State Park, and these 2 were really shaken up. And in fact, Dean, the guy who owns the landlord, he was ready to leave that night and go back home. I mean, that's whatever it was really.
Shook him up
And
good.
Josh, it did. And Josh, like I said, Josh is one of those guys that just doesn't have any fear. I mean, he's one of those people who go in the woods by himself, camp out at night. And he said, I'm not going out there by myself tonight. And I was like, wow. I said, whatever screamed at them really, you know, for it to shake up these two big, huge guys. And I was like, wow, you know. And then later the next, and next morning we found footprints and we casted them.
Glad you mentioned that, because I like to, as a police detective, I like to keep an open mind. I don't want to, I got to have evidence, but I want to keep an open mind. So I wanted to talk to you about evidence you've collected about Bigfoot. Mostly what you get are footprints. Is that fairly correct?
Well, as far as what I've come across, yes, is tracks or footprints and stuff. We've collected some hair, but unfortunately the hair has come back, you know, negative for unknown primate. It's come back either horse hair or bear hair or you know, actually it's just been those two, to be honest with you, now that I think about it.
Okay. How often are you able to get casts of feet?
It's rare and far between. You know, I mean, every now and then we get lucky. Like I said, that trip that we had up there, we spread out, and and these tracks weren't, you know, just out in the open. And you know, I know you're thinking, well, did somebody come there and was somebody out there hoaxing you? Well, the tracks were out in the woods, and it's just so. I mean, it was just kind of a fluke that Stacy and David decided to walk into this part. Because if I was going to hoax them, I would put them right on the dirt road where somebody could immediately find them. These were in the back that you actually had to go look, and you might, in fact, to be honest with you, David said he almost walked right over them.
Interesting.
Go
ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
No, that was it.
Okay. I've not seen a footprint of a Bigfoot. How can you tell that's what made it? Simply put.
Well, the size. It looks, it does look somewhat like a human footprint.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the first 5 toes, you know, the large toe and all that. But it's, it's a lot larger.
And other than obviously it being in a remote area, which I can see where you're coming from, it doesn't make much sense to put in a remote area because if you're putting it there to hoax people, nobody will see it. But other than that, how are you able to tell that it is something that has been made naturally or made by an actual creature and not by a rubber foot, if you will? Is there any way for you to tell that?
Well, we go ahead and we make castings. You know, we always have casting material with us. And, of course, you know, we do look it over because, you know, sometimes you got to be careful that it's not a bear footprint. Because bears do what they call a double step. Mm-hmm. And, and when they step on each other and actually make one of their prints actually bigger. But you can kind of see the difference because in the center of it, it actually gets a little bit wider. Whereas a skunk or a Bigfoot print, like I said, it just pretty much has the ball part of the joint. You know, again, I don't know I do know the anatomy of a foot, but it doesn't come to me right now. But I mean, like I said, it looks remarkably like a human footprint. And you kind of, look at, but the toes are somewhat separate or spread out versus a human toe.
Okay, that's a good explanation because nobody's ever actually explained it that way to me before, so I get exactly where you're coming from on that. Interesting. And the only hair you've ever gotten has not, unfortunately, shown to be anything other than a horse or a bear.
Yes, sir, unfortunately.
Well, that's why it's a mystery, and that's why we're out there searching, because you're getting just enough information to know something's out there, and it's our job to go out and see what we can find. I totally get it. What we're going to probably do in just a minute here, I got a bunch of other questions I want to ask you. I want to start getting into some other areas that you've done some of your legend trips on, but we're getting ready to go on our next break, so go ahead and take a rest. And once again, I appreciate you being here. I know you're going through a lot of pain tonight, but I really appreciate you being here, and I know my listeners are enjoying hearing this too. So with that, we're going to take our next break. Ladies and gentlemen, don't leave us. More to come with Rob Robinson, Legend Tripper.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
There's a legend shared by many indigenous cultures of a time when the nations were cast to the four corners of the world. Each nation was given a body of sacred knowledge that held a different portion of the truth to preserve. True reality could not be known until all the nations reunited, combining the information. If a single one was missing, the world could not be reborn and darkness would prevail. The Science of Magic Radio is dedicated to reuniting the sacred knowledge. With the understanding, none of us has all the answers, but together we can open new perceptions and possibilities. Through our combined vision, the world can be reborn into a place where darkness no longer prevails. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic daily on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, or visit us at thescienceofmagic.net.
Gibbs A. Williams, Ph.D., is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention, specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A soul balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world.
Welcome back, folks, to Paranormal Stakeout with tonight's guest, Rob Robinson, legend tripper. Rob, great conversation. Love hearing about the things that we have going on down here in Florida with the skunk ape. What's the difference between a skunk ape and the Bigfoot? Is there really a difference?
Well, initially, if you'd asked me that about 5 years ago, I would have said size. I would say the skunk ape down here is smaller. But now that I've done a lot more research, I've actually, I've been hanging out with Stacy Brown and his group, Sasquatch Hunters, and the ISRT. And actually, I'm changing my, because you're hearing some more reports where, that the animal down here seems to be the same size as the animal over on the West Coast. So a quick answer, the difference would be is just location. I think we're dealing with the same species of animal. It's just, one's over in California and Washington and stuff. And, and ours, of course, is here down in Florida living in the swamps and is a little bit probably more, aquatic and stuff and more used to dealing with water than, say, the ones over on the West Coast are.
Well, I know that the term skunk ape came because of the horrendous smell that came along with it. Is it the same with
That's
the animals? Is it the same with the animals in other parts of the country?
Oh, yes. You got the Fouke Monster and the Honey Island Monster. They've all been known to give off a smell. They've been seen up in Ohio where the smell. And, of course, over in California and Washington State and Oregon, people say they smell them before they see them. So, yeah.
Interesting. Well, let's get back. Your whole thing is legend tripping, and I know you like to focus on Bigfoot, but I want to talk about the whole package, if you will, that you're involved in legend tripping. First of all, tell us a little bit about your book. What's that about? Okay, well,
like you said before, it's a guidebook. I started, I got the idea actually. Charlie Carlson, author of Weird Florida, he invited me to come up and do some presentations. And finally he said, Rob, you need to put this on paper. I like, the people really like what to hear you say. So, you need to think about writing a book. And if you need any help, let me know. So I started writing a book. And at first I really didn't have a direction where I wanted. I just started writing. And then I got my publisher, David Hatcher Childress. He's one of the hosts on the TV show Ancient Aliens. And I talked to him about it, and he just he looked at what I had and said, you need to make it a guidebook. You need to show people what they need to do to go out and go look for Bigfoot or how to go do a paranormal investigation or go look for buried treasure and all that. And but make it to where it's all over the United States. Don't just focus on Florida or the East Coast. Let's tell people all over the United States what they can go look for. So with that in mind, I just started doing more and more research. I called up Roswell, the UFO Museum, and they started giving me all kinds of information and gave me pictures to use. I called over some places that are reputed to be haunted, and they gave me permission to use pictures. I mean, I was actually really surprised how a lot of people were really generous about letting me put stuff in my book about that. I got a hold of Lorraine Warren. Actually, I got a hold of her son-in-law. And I told him I wanted to feature her little museum in my book. And he said, oh, not a problem. Just make sure that people know that when they come here, they have to get a reservation. They can't just show up and come in. But he was very, And then I started going into actually how to do it. And I put how I do it and how me and my wife do stuff. But I started throwing it out there to people. And I had them start looking it over. And say, hey, tell me what you think. Do you think there's anything I should add or take away or you don't agree with it? And then I started throwing in other stuff. I started showing them, where to go look, where to go research. And I also did a section on outdoor survivor because I had I've taken some people out there. We're not prepared to go out there. So I wanted to make sure people knew what to take with them and don't just treat, a walk out in the woods just a walk out in the woods. Just be prepared if something happens, and what happens if you get lost. So, and it just kind of went from there.
Yeah, I read the book, and I've got to be honest with you, I really enjoyed that part of it. I thought that was very responsible of you to put it in there to, A, tell people don't go places you're not legally allowed to go, and B, this is what you need to have to be prepared to be out in the woods and things. I thought that was an excellent part of the book. So my compliments on that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I took some people out one time, and it's kind of a funny story. I always say they were California boys, but it's just because they were like, yo, man. And I saw them trying to start a fire. They didn't bring any camping gear. They were going to rough it like Les Stroud and Bear Grylls. And I saw them trying to start a fire, and they had these logs, and they had a little big lighter, and they were trying to start the fire. And I was watching and watching. I said, "What are you guys doing?" "Man, we'll start us a fire, man." I said, "Okay." And needless to say, they didn't get a fire going. So I said, "Gentlemen, let me step in and show you how to do this a little bit, you know." So I got a fire going, and they're just looking at me, just like, "Dude, you're like a fire god, man," you know. And then I just said, "Well, no, I'm not, but you know, I'll show you guys how to do this stuff." And then I had to show them how to make a shelter because again, they didn't bring a tent and all that stuff. So, and then I started thinking, you know, I got to start putting this out there for people. I mean, and just to throw this out, I am not a survival expert. I've never been in a survival situation, and I attribute that to the fact that I always plan what I do when I go out there, and I make sure I have everything I need. So, but I always started saying, you know, I wanted to make sure people knew what they had to take, and I also threw in there, I said, if this is your first time doing it, don't go out and buy all this fancy equipment, you know, this paranormal equipment until you go out and do it. And if you do enjoy it, then you can start adding stuff. But don't go, you know, buy all this stuff because you're going to turn around and end up putting it on eBay, and I'm going to come on there and buy it from you.
The paranormal investigation 101, it sounds like you're helping them with. That's, like I said, I've read your book, and I've really appreciated that part of it because it's easy to say this is where you go to find a ghost or a Bigfoot, but to actually put in there, this is how you need to do it to keep yourself safe, I just thought was really, really responsible. So UFO experiences, have you had any of those that you'd like to share on these legend tripping?
Well, unfortunately, I'd love to say I have, but I haven't. I'm a big fan of it. I go look into it. I haven't seen anything as of yet, but it's not for a lack of trying. My wife has actually seen a UFO. Florida is actually probably one of the top states other than California that has a lot of UFO sightings. I have been to Roswell. I have been up to I've been on the property and I checked out Roswell. That was back when I was still in the Army and stationed out at Fort Bliss. I went on a road trip with my buddy because he knew where to go. I've been out to Area 51 before the government bought up most of the land, and you can't, back in, about 10 years ago, you could actually get on a hill and look over and actually see the lights at night. Now the Air Force bought up that hill, so now it's really hard to go out there and see anything now. I was doing some research on a gentleman down here in Florida, lived in Brooksville, who claimed that back in the 40s, he was actually taken on board a flying saucer and taken over to the dark side of the moon where he said the aliens actually live. And I know it sounds kind of a far-fetched story, but he had moon dust. And he said he reached down and grabbed some moon dust when he came, and then he came back. But they did test it, and it was in fact moon dust. So as bizarre as that story sounds, he did have moon dust, but unfortunately he's not with us anymore, and it's kind of
no, I'm sorry. I would have to look at that moon dust to be honest with you. Who tested it? I mean, if you said who tested it,
I don't know. Again, it happened in the 40s, and he lived in Brooksville. I'm trying to remember. His last name was Reeves. And he was kind of unfortunately, he was kind of considered the nutcase of the town. And
really,
but he did set up. He built a replica of the flying saucer on his property for people to come see and stuff. And he never faltered from his story. He always stuck to his guns when he talked about it. But unfortunately, a lot of people didn't believe him.
Yeah, I'm kind of understanding that, but who am I to judge? That's an interesting story.
It is.
Tracy, your wonderful wife, met her,
yes.
Terrific lady, ghost hunter.
Yes, she
is. She does the ghost hunting side of your work, correct?
Yeah, that's what more or less. That's what she's interested in doing. Yeah, she likes the paranormal.
Yeah. Now, have you, and you're her tech guy, obviously, from your bio, you had any success there in any of those portions of your legend adventures?
Well, yeah, we had one happen over at the Jupiter Lighthouse. We heard something walking up the stairs, And at first I thought it was my wife's mother, because she had sat down, because she's got problems with her knees. So she she was going to wait while we went to the top. Excuse me. Anyway, we heard somebody walking up the stairs. So I walked back, I was like, oh, did she change her mind and decided to come up? And I, walked back into the lighthouse to look down, and, we could hear everybody coming up, but we couldn't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up asking the museum next to the lighthouse, and they said, oh, yeah, this place is supposed to be haunted. And I said, well, we heard somebody walking up the stairs, and they go, oh, yeah, you did? Yeah, we've had some people tell us that.
Yeah.
And, we've been out to, we went to the Ripley's one night, and my wife took some pictures, and a couple of them you can kind of see kind of a dark shape standing in a corner, which, the lady at Ripley's kind of got excited when my wife showed it to her.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I've been to Ripley's. I've also been to the lighthouse in St. Augustine. That is another cool spot. If you got an opportunity to do paranormal investigation.
Like I said, St. Augustine is like, I think it still has a reputation of being the most haunted city in the United States.
Well, I certainly wouldn't disagree with that, but I think you might get a battle from the folks in New Orleans or Savannah or Charleston. But I got to tell you, St. Augustine is one heck of a place to go, especially if you want to kind of get your feet wet into the world of paranormal investigations. Pretty neat spot, no doubt about that. What is the most significant event you've had on any of your legend trips?
Well, I mean, as of today, it would be when we found those footprints. But when a little while ago, me and my wife, we went up to I was invited to come speak at the Mothman Festival up at Point Pleasant up there in West Virginia. And we decided to stop over in North Carolina at the Brown Mountain and see the Brown Mountain lights. And we went up there, we got a hotel, and then we got in my Jeep and we drove up there to the area where you're supposed to. And sure enough, the lights came out. And I tell you, it was one of the neatest things I've ever seen.
Have you ever heard of, just run this by, the Brownville lights in North Carolina?
The Brown Mountain lights.
Brown Mountain lights. My sister lives up near there, and they've actually been trying to see them themselves. Have you been up in that area at all?
Mm-hmm. Yes, so like I said, we stopped up there. It's near, what is it, Morganton or Morgansville? I think is the nearest town.
Oh, okay.
And like I said, and believe it or not, the road that goes up to the top of the hill for you to look over, I mean, it was a good thing that we had a Jeep going up there.
Hey,
because I mean, the road was really, really rough.
Rob, we're about ready to take our last break here. So when we get back, I want to talk a little bit more about the company and the things that you can offer the folks that would be interested in joining you. Folks, please don't go away. More from Rob Robinson, Legend Tripper, on the other side.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? I'm Dr. Kimberly McGeorge, and on The Secret to Everything, we will merge the practical with open investigation into all realms of the mysterious. We will talk to cutting-edge alternative health practitioners, those who inspire and motivate you in business and life, and of course, we will share stories of the paranormal, conspiracy, and cryptozoology. You will transform because of the frequency I carry, the frequencies my guests carry. Life may never be the same after you listen to this program, for the secret to everything is for you, the listener, for those who desire more in every area of their lives and believe that it can still be found. Listen and discover thesecrettoeverything.com.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Welcome back to Paranormal Stakeout, folks, with tonight's guest, legend tripper Rob Robinson. Please be sure to stop by Rob's website at Legend Trippers of America, all one word, .blogspot.com/. That's Legend Trippers of America .blogspot.com/. You can email him at rob008@hotmail.com. And be sure to check out his book, Legend Tripping, The Ultimate Adventure by Venture Unlimited Press. But I also don't want you to forget to tune into all of the outstanding programming here on the X Zone Broadcast Network. Please visit us at www.xzbn.net for the schedule for all the terrific shows on the X Zone Broadcast Network. Would also like to invite you to visit me at www.paranormalstakeout.com or at my team's website, www.paranormalfbi.com, and also on Facebook with the Florida Bureau of Paranormal Investigation. And also you can get me at Larry Lawson at xzbn.net. Well, Rob, our time grows short, but people have been listening to the show tonight. They're hearing what you offer and all the adventures that a lot of folks just dream about. What's the best way to make arrangements with you to take a trip like this?
Like I said, right at the moment, unfortunately, I'm healing and I'm kind of using a walker right now. But I am, just kind of keep an eye on. I do have a Facebook page. Robert Robinson, legend tripper, and I do put down where I'm going to be going out at and stuff. At this point in time, I've kind of been just teaming up with Stacy Brown and his group, the Sasquatch Hunters, and there is another group out there, the ISRT, Independent Sasquatch Research Team, and they're another team that I've been out with a couple times. But when I do, get healed up and I am going to go out there, I will put out there where I'm going to, I'm going to go out and do my stuff. And I do encourage people to come on out with me because, if you've never been on one before, we take all newcomers. And if you're, a seasoned Bigfoot hunter, that's even better, If you're, in fact, if you're a skeptic, if you don't believe in this stuff, but you're curious about it, by all means, come on out. Because even though we, and I'll be honest with you, 99% of the time we don't see anything, and they say, well, why do you go out there? Because I'm after that 1%, and, in this field, you keep going and you keep doing and do it, you're going to see something. Well, so I would tell people, that's one of those things, you just got to keep going out there and doing it. And you'll eventually, you'll get to, something good will happen, I guess.
Well, how often do you get a guest that comes out and looks you right in the eye and says, I just don't believe any of this. Prove it to me. How often does that happen to you?
I've had it happen a couple times. And I, like I said, I don't take offense to it. In fact, to be honest with you, I'd rather a person be honest with me about it. And I'll give you an example. Is my wife. My wife, if you point blank ask her, does she believe in it? She'll probably say, I got to see it. Okay. She says, I keep an open mind, but I got to see this thing before I'm going to say, yeah, I believe in it. So, and, I've, in fact, I had a gentleman who came to me 2012. He was sitting in a tree stand Thanksgiving morning hunting. He was playing on his phone out in the Green Swamp, which is north of Lakeland, Florida. And he looked over and he saw something walk out onto this big, huge field. And he looked at it, he thought at first it was a guy in a ghillie suit. Anyway, he kept looking at it and noticed that it wasn't carrying a rifle or anything. And then the way it was moving really smoothly through the field. Well, it stopped in front of him and looked right up at him, and he realized it wasn't a guy in a suit. It was a skunk ape. Well, the thing quickly took off running, and he actually got to get it on film for a little bit, but it's not very good quality. It's foggy out that morning, but he came and showed it to me. And the first thing he said to me, he goes, you know what? I never believed in this thing if I hadn't seen it myself. I would never have believed it. In fact, he goes, I would never have believed myself had I not seen it. So, it's one of those things that, if you got a curiosity and you don't believe in it, but you want to see, by all means, you never know.
Do you find that most of your guests tend to be folks that have never seen anything and want to believe, or that they want to prove that it doesn't exist? If you had to choose between the two.
I would say people that, have a curiosity and want to see if it really is out there. So they want to go with people that know what to look for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, obviously you're into cryptozoology in all different aspects. Any other specific types of cryptids that you've looked for, had information on, or have seen?
Well, I went looking up in Astor. They have a river monster up there called the Astor Monster. Also, the St. John's river monster is also called that. But it hasn't actually been seen in a long time, and I'm just kind of wondering if it's even still there, if it hasn't moved on. I went looking for the lizard man up in South Carolina when I was on my way up north. We stopped over there, and my wife took me over to the Pine Barrens, and we did a little, a one-day look around for the Jersey Devil.
That's a good question. I've got two things that I've never been clear on: Jersey Devil and Mothman. What are they? What are they supposed to be?
Well, the Jersey Devil is supposed to be a type of animal where the people reported it has wings, and it supposedly the head, it looks almost like a horse, and it has hoofs versus it having feet. Mm-hmm. And it's been seen since the 1800s when Mother Lead supposedly was giving birth to her 13th child and made a comment, give this child to the devil. And, the way the story goes that the baby that came out, with wings and horns and stuff, and then it flew away, flew out the window, and supposedly it's been living out in the Pine Barrens, and there is still reports of it being seen out there.
Okay. What about Mothman?
Mothman is kind of a it almost takes on an alien type look, but with wings. Trying the best way to describe it. It was seen in Point Pleasant toward this TNT area. It was first seen by some teenagers when they were driving. They went driving out in that area, and then they saw it standing out outside the road, and its eyes were glowing. And when they, left, the thing sprouted, spread out its wings and was chased them with their vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
But it hasn't been seen in a long time either.
Other than people's eyewitness accounts of it, has there ever, to your knowledge, been any evidence collected that
Mothman? No, it's just sightings.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the Jersey Devil goes, I'll have to look that one up again. I don't know the answer to that one. I'm thinking somebody saw I remember there was a paranormal show, which actually they were out in the Pine Barrens, and they did see something in the FLIR that looked like a figure with wings. I'm not sure if that was proven to be a hoax or what,
mm-hmm.
but they did see something on there. And I mean, but I remember, my wife was watching the show, and she called me and said, "Hey, check this out. Look, these ghost hunters, found the Jersey Devil out there." So
yeah, I seem to remember there was a show on it. I'd seen it once a long time ago. But and this is where I'm coming from. Like I said, I do keep an open mind to everything, but I got to have some evidence. I got to have something that I can take to a court, if you will, and present it as evidence to prove our case. And that's what I keep searching for. And I know that's what you're doing too. And heck, if it was easy, it would have been solved a long time ago, right? But
that's correct.
That's what I'm looking for, is that hard piece of evidence. And I'm hoping to find that evidence, whether it proves it or disproves it. Either way, that will be a success, to either prove or disprove it. Yeah, my son and I had a conversation not too long ago about Loch Ness. Now I know your mom's being from Scotland and all.
Uh-huh.
Any thoughts on the Loch Ness Monster? I realize it's not exactly local, but
yeah. Well, they pretty much determined there is something there, but whether or not it's I think they've pretty much ruled out it being a plesiosaur or something like that, and because I think they found that the famous surgeon photo was actually a hoax. But it's debatable or not if they're seeing large sturgeon, or if they have, or if it's actually a large eel, because they have some really, really large eels that have been found in Loch Ness. So,
okay, that's awesome.
I mean, they have seen, they have seen some large things on radar on Loch Ness. But, all the photos are kind of debatable.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Sometimes you don't always know who's taking them, and sometimes the photo could be legit, but the person taking it may not have the expertise with the camera. So, that's why we look, isn't it, Rob? That's why we keep searching, finding answers either way. Well,
like you said, sometimes you look into a legend, you find out that it isn't true. But you know what? Sometimes just doing the research and finding out is just as fun as going out looking for Bigfoot too,
Exactly. Not only that, but it's just as important to find the answers to prove or to disprove. And I agree with you. And that's the big fun of it. Listen, my friend, we're about ready to end our time together. I want to wish you a speedy recovery. I know it was tough for you to come on tonight. And I know you're in pain, but you were with us tonight, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I wish you best of luck as Legend Trippers continues on. Heal quickly, because there's going to be people out there that want to be part of what you're doing. With that, I want to remind everybody, check out the programming at www.xzbn. And I appreciate everybody being tonight. Rob, thank you. And folks, we're going to see you on the other side.